Hi, this is Shirin Merchant. Welcome back to our second round of Ask Shirin. We had some fantastic response this time. Thank you all for writing in. Unfortunately, we could only choose 5 questions to answer, but keep writing in, all of you, and we'll answer them at some point in time. So let's dive straight into the interesting questions that we got. First question that we will look at is from Dog Training India, who writes, my 5-year-old lab Sausage begs when we eat. Well, this is very typical with most city dogs. The thing you need to understand about begging, it's not always a food-related behavior. It's not always a dog that's hungry that is begging. Sometimes dogs also do it because they get attention. Unfortunately, over a period of time, when the dog has been randomly reinforced for begging, which means sometimes he gets it, sometimes he doesn't. He's learned to hold out for longer and longer periods of time. So it becomes a difficult behavior to put right because the dog knows if he hangs in there, he can wear you down. And that's often what happens. So here's a clever way to put this right. What you need to do is, for the next 1 week, everybody in your home, whenever they're eating, will give Sausage a treat. So he actually gets away with begging, which you're going to wonder why, because it's going to be counterproductive to what we want. But hang in there, let me give you my secret. So for 1 week, everybody gives him one small piece of food when they're eating. In the second week now, everybody completely stops feeding him. This part is hard because sometimes though we stop feeding our dogs, other people in the family don't. So the dog quickly learns to hang in there and still beg. So make sure everybody in your family sticks to the same plan. What you should see, if everybody suddenly stops feeding the dog, the behavior won't disappear overnight. It will actually become worse. So for the next 2-3 days, you might see more begging. But if you hang in there and don't give up, what you should see by the 4th day is all the begging going away. So you give it a try and see, because it's good for Sausage not to beg for food when you eat, because as you've written clearly in your post, that it's becoming embarrassing when guests are there. So give this a try for the begging behavior. The next question we'll look at is from Nikita Ghosh. Nikita writes in, the fact that we can't keep all the puppies that mom gives birth to and we end up giving them away, to what extent does that affect the mother? How many days does she take to overcome the pain of separation, and does this affect the pup psychologically? Well, here's what it is. You're looking at this whole issue from a human point of view, from a human mother who has to give up her child. Fortunately, in the dog world, things work very differently. So what you're doing here is a fancy word called anthropomorphism, which means attributing human tendencies to animals. Dogs don't behave that way. So when a mother gives birth to her puppies, the puppies absolutely need her for survival for at least the first 2 to 3 weeks. It's about at 4 weeks' time that the mother starts to reject her puppies gradually. And by doing so, she ensures that they go out into the world and they make friends with other people in the pack, other dogs in the pack. Because if she didn't do that, they'd keep sticking to mom, and that's not good for their survival. So it's about at 4 weeks that she starts rejecting, and they start playing with other members of the pack, which would be the dog pack in the natural state. It's about at 6 weeks that she completely starts to say, I don't want to have anything to do with you. And it's about at this stage that she's probably writing out the advertisement for the puppies herself. So there is no attachment as such, because that's what nature is made for the puppies to survive. And it's about at 8 to 10 weeks that the mother is glad to be rid of the puppies. So it doesn't have any negative effect on the puppies or the mother, because that's what nature has made them to be. Because if they all kept sticking to mom, her survival, their survival could be at stake. So the next question we'd look at is from Yash R94. My 1.5-year-old beagle lunges and barks on almost every stranger, especially kids. It used to be very friendly as a puppy. What can I do? Well, your dog could be barking at people for a variety of reasons. One, it just could be frightened of them. Two, it's just frustrated that it can't reach out and play with them. Three, it just could be a dog that wants to just run over and maybe bite. It could be aggressive. It's difficult for me to tell without seeing your dog in action, but here's what it is. If you think your dog looks like he just wants to be friendly and he wants to play, so after he barks and he gets closer to the children or closer to the adult and he's just very friendly, it's more like a frustration behavior, often created by the fact that everyone our dog wants to meet out on a walk, we allow it to. That creates frustration in the dog. So sometimes tell your dog, hey, you know what? You can't meet everybody when we're out for a walk. Sometimes it's okay for you to just be with me on the walk. Another thing, if your puppy is doing this because he's frightened of people, then your best bet is to encourage your dog to stay away. And this is where people get confused, because they come to me and they say, no, I don't want my dog to stay away. I want him to go to people. I want him to be friendly. But your dog is telling me, I don't want to be friendly. I want to stay away from people. They frighten me. In effect, if you listen to your dog, nobody should get bitten. So here's what it is. If your dog is frightened of people, it's better to encourage him to gently stay away and work with a qualified behaviorist down the road to see what you can do about the fear issues. The next question we look at is from Srishti G, who says, my Indie is 1.5 years old but continues to nip me. The behavior is only with me. He's otherwise a very friendly dog. What is the reason behind this and what can I do? Here's what it is. In all likelihood, your dog's doing it for two reasons. One, he gets a ton of attention for it. And two, he thinks it's a great game to play with you. Because every time he nips you, you react by either screaming or moving your arms all over the place. And you become very animated. And for a dog, that's a ton of fun. Here's what it is. The reason he's probably doing it with you and not with anybody else is because you're allowing him to. It's very likely other people don't allow him to get away with this behavior. Which means when you are interacting with your dog and he does this, either you're not correcting him for the behavior or your correction is not going across clearly to the dog. If at 1.5 years your dog is yet doing this to you, it's not a very healthy behavior. You need to put this right, because the prime thing we need to teach our dogs is you cannot put your teeth onto human skin, not even in play. It's just not done. So here's what you need to do. Put your dog on a long line, and the next time you're interacting with him and he decides to nip you, use the line to hold him away from you and to firmly say a no. When you say a no, cut off all interaction. Don't look at him, don't talk to him, don't touch him. It's kind of like a downtime where he understands that the fact that he nipped you immediately stopped all interaction from you. When you see that he's relaxed, you can start to interact again. Again, when you interact, you might see that he nips you. Again, put in the correction. You have to hang in there and be a bit consistent, because you've probably allowed the behavior to get away with for 1.5 years. But over a period of time, your dog should get the message that every time he puts his teeth onto your skin, you stop all interaction with him. He gets a quiet little time out for a couple, maybe a minute, and then you'd start interacting as soon as he's calmed down. So he'd learn to play on good terms with you. The next question we'd look at is from Joyful Hammer. Joyful Hammer asks, my dog barks at other dogs sometimes. How can you tell the difference if he wants to go sniff the dog, or is it out of fear, or is it because the other dog barked at him? Well, to be able to give you that answer, Hammer, here's what it is. I need to see the rest of your body language. It's your body language that would tell me whether you are being fearful, whether you're just being frustrated and you want to go and play with the other dog, or whether you just want to stay away from the other dog. So here's what it is. If you see a dog with his tail tucked under, he's barking but still backing away from the other dogs, and his body language is a little cowering, he's also looking around a little bit nervously, then this is a dog that's actually frightened. In this case, you'll even hear the bark being at a slightly higher pitch than usual. So this is a dog that's barking to stay away from other dogs. But if your dog is barking and is standing alert, the ears are in front, the body is tight, the tail is wagging up and stiffly upright, then this is a dog that's curious, maybe frustrated. He is what we'd call as in a state of arousal, and it's not a fear behavior. He may be frustrated and he wants to go to say hi to the other dogs. So to give you your answer to that, read the rest of the body language. Sometimes we only tend to read the wagging tail or the barking in the dog, and we then misinterpret what the dogs say. Don't read one aspect of a dog, read the entire thing, and then you can't get it wrong. And so with that, we come to an end of this series of Ask Shirin. Do keep writing in. We're going to run the contest every 2 weeks on different social media platforms. And I'm looking forward to hearing back from you and from your doggies and helping you put right the small problems that you have on a day-to-day basis. See you.